Jungkook, I don't want to go home tonight. Wine said. She was half asleep in her boyfriend's bed, who was working on his laptop beside her. She decided to have some rest in his home after college. She just wanted to be with him. So, Jungkook brought her home, taking off from office, deciding to work from home. She slept all peacefully in the warm presence of her protective boyfriend. A place where she knew no one would harm her. Her arm was wrapped around his figure and face snuggled in sheets. Jungkook brushed her hair off her face. Jungkook, then don't go. Stay with me tonight. Why? What will I tell my mom? Jungkook, let me talk to her. She chuckled and looked up at him. Why? Geez, no. She'll kill me. Jungkook, no one can. Not in my presence. He placed the laptop aside and slid down beside her. One rolled on top of him and slid her hair to one side. Jungkook had his hands on her waist, and he simply loved her in front of his eyes. Every time she was with him, it was like his heart finally knew how to beat. Fine, I want to sleep more, but I want to spend more time with you too. She lazily placed her head on his chest. Jungkook stroked her hair, and his eyes shifted towards the ceiling. She had a day off yesterday from college. Today, he picked her up earlier. She has been sleeping for 3 hours now. Jungkook had noticed too many changes, including her smile, which has dimmed, and sometimes it was fake. The wine he found and the wine now were too different. When his eyes moved back to her, they fell on the marks on her neck, which revealed when her shirt moved from its place. Frowning, he slid her hair off her back and found more scars, deep, red and purple scars. Jungkook slowly moved her up, kissing her head and jaw. He slid the shirt off her shoulder as his kisses trailed down to her neck. She hummed, enjoying the affection, but the more he went down, all he found were the scars of abuse. Vian, he called. She hummed in response and looked her fingers in her hair. Jungkook, what are these marks? Her body tensed, fingers froze in his hair, and then, in an instant, she pulled away, fixing her shirt. The smile on his face was long gone. Wine. Oh, nothing. I fell during the football match, and it's due to the friction. Nothing much. It didn't convince him, neither the words nor her eyes. Jungkook, however, didn't press on it any further. If she wanted to tell him the truth, she would have already. Whatever it was that's stopping her, he needed to end it. His suspicion grew with each passing day, and it fueled his determination to uncover the truth. In secret, he installed CCTV cameras in Vine's home, the place she shared with her parents. He knew it was an invasion of her privacy, but he couldn't bear the thought of her enduring abuse in silence. It couldn't be her college. He had checked the cameras from there. The college she studied was extra strict in case of bullying, and if it was the case, he believed, she would have told him already. What left was her home. As the days went by, the footage from the cameras confirmed his worst fears. Vine's parents were indeed abusive, subjecting her to both physical and emotional torment. The realization filled him with a rage he had never felt before, a rage directed not at his enemies in the criminal world, but at the very people who had hurt the woman he loved. It was another day when he decided to drop her off at home. She was Winnie, but he told her he was busy, apologized her several times, and now finally she was getting off his Mercedes. A few kisses on her cheek, and a few on her head, a few dinner promises, and beach dates were needed to be confirmed before he was allowed to do his work. He knew he spoiled her, and he loved every time she made such demands. It was also her thing to never demand something expensive from him. Her every demand centered around one thing: to be able to spend time together. She waved at him, and he, like always, stayed there until she entered the home all safely. That's how much she was loved and protected, only to be ruined and abused as soon as she enters the premises of her home. It was nothing different than usual. Same taunts and abuse, just with a different excuse. Vine's mom. Whose car was it you're getting down from? A Mercedes? That mom is a friend. She was scared to tell them about her relationship, especially when her mother was in a bad mood. Vine's mom. I saw a man in there. Where is it that you stay at nights when you tell me you have to study with Sana? Vine. Mom, what are you talking about? Please. Vine's mom. Do you think I'm a fool? Vine. Even if it is a man, why is it so wrong? Even if I'm in a relationship, what's so wrong about it? Vine's mom. How about you focus on your studies for now and get a job later? I'm not getting you educated for nothing. It did a lot of damage to Vine. Probably more than those physical scars ever did. Yet she tried to hide the tremble of her hands. Vine, I thought you cared about my studies. She questioned, and the only answer she received in return was a slap against her cheek. She closed her eyes, waiting for the impact. Yet, she never felt any pain or even slightest touch. Her eyes fluttered open, And to her surprise, her mother's hand was force stopped mid-air by a much stronger grip against her wrist. Her surprise turned into shock when she finally found Jungkook, who was the reason behind it. He stepped forward, standing in front of Lion, completely hiding her behind his massive frame. Jungkook, because Lion, you aren't going to accept it. So, I want you to catch this red-handed. Lion's mom, who the hell are you? How did you come in my home? Leave now, or I'll call the police. Jungkook, you're most welcome to do that. But how about you go through me first? His eyes darkened up. He took a step forward, only to be stopped by Lion. It ticked him, yet he tried his best to understand her. It was her mother after all, and Jungkook couldn't really harm a mother in front of a daughter. Jungkook, listen to me, lady, and listen well. It is extremely disgusting of you to raise a child under abuse and violence, and then expect them to shower you in gold and diamonds. You never deserved a child, and that's why I'm taking her away, and she is never coming back. He held Vine's wrist, which was instantly held by her mother as well. Vine's mom. Vine, what is he saying? Tell him you're not going anywhere. Jungkook. Ah, I'm sorry. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm John Jungkook, your daughter's boyfriend, a man who is genuine towards his lady to make her his wife and shower her with love. He only had to say his name, and her mother's grip slipped. That's the kind of effect his name had on people. It terrified them, numbed them to their bones with fear, and shook their souls. Jungkook took Wine out with him, and she didn't make any objection. Wine, I'm sorry. I don't want to disappoint you, Jungkook. I'm really. He stopped her mid sentence, pulled her in his embrace, and kissed her head. Jungkook, you went through a lot in there. I don't want you to feel any weight or stress when you're with me. I understand. Whatever decision you made, I understand. You don't have to explain it. Somehow, those comforting words broke the cold walls she built around herself, and she broke down in tears in his protective embrace. With calculated precision, Jungkook began to take measures against Wyan's abusive parents. Since he couldn't physically hurt them, he used his vast resources to gather evidence, ensuring that they would face legal consequences for their actions. He was no common man. If she was scared of her parents, then somehow, deep down, her heart, she was scared of what he might do as well. It was great that he found about the abuse earlier through cameras and had time to compose himself. Otherwise, he couldn't promise handling the situation without clearly losing his shit. But he didn't stop at that. Jungkook knew that Hwayan needed more than that. She needed support, love, and healing. He became her refuge, her safe haven in the storm. He held her close, wiped her away tears, and whispered words of comfort and reassurance.